TOMz.
Good afternoon to my favorite TOMz viewers out there. Welcome to the best sci-tech show on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Proudly brought to you by SABC Education.
Let's run Mandinibali. Today has been such a crazy day already. The power went out, so it took forever. Then guys, I missed the taxi. Can't sit here doing my walk.
Yo, yabona ke yonke into la emhlabeni is so interconnected. One thing leads to the other, and we never know what's kahle kahle uzophelelaphi.
But then all things in nature also like that. I mean, we need energy to move food from one place to the
other. And that is called energy nexus, and it explains how energy moves from one thing to the next. Namhlanje, however, we'll focus on water and land to see this cool technology is to take care of imvula yethu.
With some of the best on fishermen. So social media. Coming up next on TOMz.
See how the nitrogen cycle moves nutrients around on Earth.
We speak to one of SA's great minds when it comes to remote sensing and taking care of our water resources.
Have a day out on the riverbanks to see how some of Mzansi's master anglers do what they do.
We find out what the difference is between water in rivers and water in the sea.
Get a few cool resources that can help you make your own garden a success.
And find some inspiration in new career opportunities and advice.
Bongi, let's get this party started.
So it moves around in different cycles. For the ecosystem.
So kahle for nama activity wethu affecta kanjani le system leni. Yazokuthini sele sanbuza, and here's what you guys had to say.
It's all about nature, water, land, and sort of.
Amanzi in a river. Yeah, they like a river. It's not a big thing. It's just a small. It's not big. It's not more than an ocean. An ocean is more than bigger than a river.
I think amanzi from the ocean, they're salty, and then amanzi from the river, they're just pure water.
There's no difference between water in the river and water in ocean.
Amanzi abuya in nature amanzi abuya phansi.
Nitrogen cycle, I think it's the cycle of forming nitrogen or something.
Remote sensing, like into a change, like maybe masiti remote TV angeke ivule igate.
I think it's a way of gathering information from the space or something, then come here to Earth.
And in our earlier episodes, we learned all about ecosystem and how everything on this earth is dependent on each other.
Now, one of these very important elements is nitrogen. Now, it makes up more than 70% of the air, and without it, so survive.
So, how does it turn from one form to another? Check out the nitrogen cycle to find out. Tune in.
Fixation is the first step in the cycle where bacteria turn nitrogen in the soil into ammonia. The nitrification takes place when the ammonium gets changed into nitrates, which plants absorb through their roots during assimilation.
Plants then use these nitrates to grow and produce chlorophyll. So when animals eat the plants, the nitrogen is carried over to them. Inside the animals, it changes form again into something that the animals can actually use, like proteins.
When plants and animals die and decompose, fungi and bacteria turn the nitrogen back into ammonium. Extra nitrogen gets back into the air and the cycle continues. In nitrogen, also goes into the soil. Water plays a very important part in this cycle.
As well as see some cool tech.
Your first boy is still on a mission, but first sekubanga mission yethu namhlanje sikhuluma nge-ecosystems ivadi namhlanje. Well, touchdown e-artists sohlangana nabaqhwepheshe bakhona bezichazisela kabanzi about remote sensing. What is it? Nokuthi yenza kanjani? Me and you are on a mission. Let's go.
I'm an Earth observation scientist, and I've spent a lot of time studying at university, and I did my master's degree in remote sensing of algal blooms in lakes.
Okay, so tell us more about the remote sensing. What is it?
So essentially, remote sensing, what I look at is instruments which are in space. So as it orbits the Earth, the satellite has a camera which is looking down, and as it goes along, it collects information about essentially taking photographs of the Earth.
Okay.
But it's not just like your average photograph. It's like scientific information. It's highly quantitative. It's highly specialized. specialized imagery, essentially, of the Earth. And using this highly specialized imagery, we're able to derive real information about water quality using different algorithms, using different methods that we apply to the satellite data. And there's all different types of remote sensing. We can use remote sensing to look at anything. I look at water quality, but you could look at it, use it for land use, so you could use it for monitoring forests, or you could use it for monitoring fires, or anything that's happening on the Earth. So essentially, this is called like Earth observation science. So we're monitoring the Earth. We're trying to keep a pulse on water quality, on changes that are happening on the Earth, on urban changes, and remote sensing can be used to answer all of those kinds of different questions. So it's a really powerful technology and tool for gaining information about our environment and how it's changing over time.
Okay. And why is it important for us as a society, and what difference does it make?
Well, you know, one of the challenges we face now is that it's really expensive to go and monitor things in the environment. And so remote sensing kind of fills a gap in that it kind of gives you a broad overview of the Earth or whatever target you're looking at. It's really reliable because it's in space and it's orbiting the Earth, so it's always going to be there acquiring imagery. And I guess it's important because it enables us to answer questions that maybe we wouldn't be able to answer with any other information source. So if I take the water quality monitoring example, we're able to answer questions like, how bad is our water quality? How has it changed over the last 10 years? Is it getting better or getting worse?
So speaking about monitoring our wetlands, what's wrong with our water?
So yeah, South Africa has real challenges with its water quality, and we're finding that a lot of our dams, which are supplying water for drinking, are heavily impacted by something called eutrophication and cyanobacteria blooms.
Okay, what is eutrophication?
So eutrophication is the process of nutrient enrichment. Now, nutrients are essentially things like fertilizer. They're chemicals called nitrates and phosphates, and they come from like sewage, and they come from agriculture, and those are the two main sources of nutrients which are actually coming into our water bodies in very high concentrations. And you can imagine if you took a bag of fertilizer and you dumped it into your pool and you left it for a week, when you came back your pool would be bright green. And that's exactly what's happening to our dams. We're putting so much nutrients into these water bodies that it's just causing these algal blooms to grow out of control. And it also leads to something called cyanobacteria blooms. Now, cyanobacteria are bacteria. They're not actually algae, but they look just like algae. That's that. If you go down to the lake and you see that bright green water, that's what cyanobacteria are.
Okay.
And they float on the water surface and they form these like thick, slimy scums on the water. And this stuff is really harmful, and it actually has toxins inside of it, which are toxic to humans and animals. If we look around us here, we can see these planted wetlands. And one of the things that they've been doing at Hartbeespoort is to put in these indigenous plants, which are starting to suck up the nutrients. And these wetlands tend to really clear up the water. They promote fish life as well as little invertebrate life. And we've seen a big reduction in the cyanobacteria blooms at Hartbeespoort Dam by using these simple bio techniques. So we're not spraying the lake with chemicals or anything like that. We're just using nature to cure nature, essentially. And it's been a great success, this program, ongoingly.
Awesome.
Now we know why it's so important for things in nature to remain in balance.
But when it comes to human balance, there's an awesome sport out there that requires a lot of it. Use an hour to get to the riverbanks to check out the amazing art of fly fishing and find out more about life underwater. TOMz.
Now, everything in nature, from abantu to bacteria, influence each other in a system. The system then again needs to stay in balance, otherwise things will go out of hand.
Exercise, riding his bike, then
Now, there are actually better examples of balanced systems out there, like Imfula. They contain thousands of different organisms whose lives are intertwined.
South Africa has hundreds of imifula flowing in and through it. Why can we use these great water resources?
Of course, this can also turn out to be a lot of fun, especially uma wazi kahle kahle ukuthi fishing rod yona isetshenziswa kanjani. Why? Ake siboneni.
Yeah, first boys, still on a mission bafethu sisaqhubeka ngemishini yethu namhlanje ecosystems, land and water. Well, touchdown in Mpumalanga sifunda kabanzi about fly fishing. Kuthi yini nokuthi yenziwa kanjani? I'm all geared up. Samelene, let's go.
I'm Stuart Smith. I'm the Development Officer at the Gauteng North Fly Fishing Association.
Yes.
And today we're at Verlorenkliff in Mpumalanga.
And so tell us, what is fly fishing, Stuart?
Fly fishing is the art of catching fish with a fly rod and an artificial fly.
Okay. And how does all of that work?
Firstly, you use a rod, and then use a line, which is a weighted line. Fly line is actually the line that propels a fly to a target, to a fish in a river or a dam, wherever the case is.
Okay, so
Yes.
you use like a real fly?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, a fly, what we term, it's a very loose term, a fly is an artificial fly which we tie to imitate an insect.
Okay, so tell me, Stuart, why do you use flies instead of using like worms?
Well, I think it's just a different way of fishing. So it's kind of a skill. There's, you know, you can tie your own fly. So there's pleasure or an enjoyment in tying your own flies, and then actually looking at the river and getting all technical about it and saying, okay, well, that looks like a little mayfly, so I'm going to put a size 16 Adams, which is a mayfly imitation, for instance, and presenting that to the fish, hoping that the fish would take it. So it's kind of, it's not as though you're just throwing something in the water and waiting for a fish to come and grab it. You're actually stalking, hunting them, seeing, oh, there's a fish rising there, presenting to it, and hoping that the fish takes it.
Okay, so Stuart, tell us about your project that you're currently doing right now, the Gwena Basin. Why did you choose to involve yourself in such a project?
We thought we would involve the youngsters from the Klipspruit Combined School to come and work as controllers for the youth nationals, but we wanted to also teach them about fly fishing as well, and maybe just give them an understanding of a sport that they may not be aware of. Coming from a very rural area, they may not have the opportunities to fish, see people fish. And I think for us it was just nice to bring them into this environment, and in future they could come down themselves and fly fish as well.
Very good, Janasem.
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. What's your name?
My name is Makanyal Laboha.
What made you join the Gwena Basin project?
Se seng direla gore ke tsone Gwena Basin ke batlile sekolong ba nyaka bana ba le interested in fly fishing and fishing, catching up fish, different fish. I never learned about catching that type of fish, which is trout. Then they wrote our names down. Then we got we all gone into a group. Then we went to the rivers. Then they taught us how to use the rod and how to fix up the rod and put it to. Okay. Then I enjoyed that. That's it.
Okay, and how has it been since what started?
The first time when I get home to fly fishing, because I fly fishing, but I got some experience and skills about how to fish and different kinds of things which I never expected that I could one day find something like this.
Okay, so last one about one fundis again.
This war for the ruta or Sarai Pirape or something to fix a young happy road to Cherabote or Honor Arfishamola, how to use the road or Arfishamola, or Honor use Oscano, Papala, or Fishamola, Yakile, Ukuchile, Opala go fix a gawin, Valva Rutelore. We train and turn well in Kawen, Oscar Chawan, while let or route up or Malaba route and Kawan.
So how many fish have you caught ever since you started?
No, since I've been here, I never caught a fish. Yes. I never.
Why? Why? It's hard.
It is hard, yeah.
Okay.
There are two major types of water biomes, the marine biome and the freshwater biome. Now, rivers are freshwater biomes because they have less salt in them than marine biomes like the ocean. The life inside rivers and streams is influenced by the rate at which the water flows. So the amount of light that gets in, the temperature, and the different chemicals in the water, like nitrogen. Marine biomes can also contain coral reefs, which are made up of living organisms called polyps and creates beautiful underwater scenes. What an important part the ocean plays in our lives. God, with more than 90% of life up on Earth living in the oceen, we can't survive without it all.
And I hope you guys are inspired as we are to take better care of our water resources. Tell us on Facebook and on Twitter, and on our next show.
So get those fingers tapping during this ad break, and that's it. On the other side.
Where does all the water in our oceans come from, and where can we find help to make our own gardens bloom? Stay with us to find out.
TOMz.
You guys should be finished with those social media posts by now and ready with TOMz. SABC 1 for sure.
As we've learned in previous episodes, the Earth is billions of years old, and it took a really long time for conditions to get just right so that life is possible.
So explores the life both on land on the water on Earth actually come from.
Now, there are many different scientific theories out there that explain how oceans formed.
And one of them involves nothing less than piping hot volcanoes and meteorites from outer space. Check this out.
4.5 billion years ago, when the Earth was still a ball of molten rock and fire, it already had the ingredients for water hidden deep inside it. As volcanoes erupted from its core, steam was released. As the planet cooled again, clouds formed, and it rained long enough to form about half the water on the Earth. Scientists believe that the rest came from meteors, large bodies of rock and ice that hit the Earth in large numbers over thousands and thousands of years and formed the rest of the water we have today. Satellites sent out by mankind into space to collect images of the land and water on Earth has made it possible for us to see the effects of our activities on the universe. With drones gaining popularity, eco drones are now used to collect detailed data of distant lands and places and use it for conservation. They can also now use these remote sensing techniques to increase crop yields on farms and about the soil characteristics in a certain place and manage forests.
When it passes through the Earth's atmosphere, the Earth, then it's called a meteorite.
So when meteors the Earth?
And there's the guys that they disintegrate. That's what we call shooting stars.
That is very cool.
You like observing things and want to start your own miniature world that you can actually document. Check out some of these resources.
Let's get it.
And for the Yalabamaka who have a garden or think of starting one, Organic Fertilizer is a great app. It's looking at to find the right recipes to make your very own fertilizer. They'll even show you how to make different types for outside and inside the house. How great is that? And if recycling and crafts are more of your thing, well done for taking care of our land. And try to DIY recycled crop ideas. Ukusebenzisa everyday objects, you'll be able to make a new type of land system in no time. Of course, the best thing would be to create your very own closed ecosystem. How things live inside it. Go into www.thescienceclassroom.org and search for how to make a mason jar terrarium. My steps of creating a magical miniature land. How great is that? Do it now.
Now, when it comes to our water and land resources, there are many opportunities for those who specialize in conservation.
But more than that, you might be able to understand ecology in its full sense and experiment with real living creatures. There are a wide variety of careers in ecology out there and also many different training options. The recommended subjects are maths and maths literacy, biology, and physical science. You'll learn all about animal studies, conservation ecology, plant studies, and resource management. You can specialize in water conservation, environmental consulting, research, behavioral ecology, ecosystem ecology, and population ecology. For degree courses, you will need a check with good marks in science and maths, usually above 40%. Now, ecologists can have exciting careers in the outdoors, in a lab, or even work for consultancies or law agencies. So but when you're organized, you're willing to work and able to make quick decisions, who knows, the career might just be for you.
And wonke umsebenzi ke has its ups and downs, and that's why we want to give you guys some inspiration for the road ahead.
So a bit of career advice for you out there who are wanting to become environmental scientists. So I studied environmental science at university. It's a 3-year degree. You got to make sure that maths and science is up to scratch. So work hard at school. Standard 9 is really important, or grade 11, sorry. Work hard in school, get good marks for maths and science. If it's your passion, if the environment is your passion, pursue it. Not everyone should go into accounting and finance, so there's a lot of different opportunities out there, especially in the environmental sciences. So after my 3-year degree in environmental sciences, I also studied oceanography, and then I went on to study environmental management as an honours degree, and then I started my master's degree after that, which was 2 years, and that was a thesis looking at remote sensing of cyanobacteria blooms. And then I did a PhD, which took me 4 years to complete, also in some more detailed in terms of optical physics. And for you out there who are interested in physics, I can recommend remote sensing is a really great field to get into. It's growing around the world. There's a big demand for experts in remote sensing.
If you want to take up fly fishing as a sport, they can contact the South African Fly Fishing Association. After training, there are various avenues that the youngsters can look at. One is becoming a fly fishing guide. There are many lodges throughout South Africa, especially in Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, in the Drakensberg area, Western Cape, who would require services from fly fishing guides. So that is one career choice. The second career choice would be they could become fly tyers. There are a number of fly tying organizations or fly tying factories where they could get involved. Go online and check. There are many opportunities out there. Just type in SA fly fishing and you'll see many opportunities popping up.
Social sessions namhlanje siyaziphethe bani maphi esithile.
Namhlanje ke lapha ku Facebook siphethe uKilebogile Hlalele. Yena ke athi I would like to tell you guys that you guys are doing a great job. It's so entertaining. Keep it up. Thank you so much for ubukela iTOMz osibili siphethe ba.
Sithi manje kaloku lapha ku Facebook uthi guys you rock, and as always kaloku yazi lo nenza njalo nina. Namhlanje ke it's my birthday. Happy birthday or happy belated with Nani. Why you guys are making my day. Sebulela with Nani for the Facebooks, for the tweets, for the everything. Mafufana nabo siya incident.
It is man. Then to www.facebook.com/TOMz, on Twitter @TOMz_SABC_1. Now Instagram says Konaga TOMzTV_SABC1. From us, it's Silly City. Keep tweeting.
And just like cycles get come to an end, they start up again from the beginning. So
in the meantime, raise your voice on our social media platforms and visit www.tomz.co.za for more info and resources. For today, go Facebook to TOMz. On Twitter, we are simply @TOMz_SABC_1. For us, City goodbye.
Coming up next time on TOMz, energy is all around us and used in different ways, but how do we store it? We get ready to shoot into the sky when we check out the science behind hot air balloons. Wena ke ungaphosa kaloku TOMz rhoqo ngemivulo nangolwezibini ngensimbi yesine apha ku SABC1 Mzansi for sure.